morning, hello, and another edition of Live Talk. And of course, with us, we are so very privileged to have with us our special guest. Siyempre, hindi na papahuli ang Baguio City Public Library when it comes to, live streaming. At iba't iba naman po ang mga guests po namin for today. Of course, these are special guests, and we would like to hear from them. So starting from my left.
Douglas Wilson. I'm married to Kathleen Mikelski here, Dr. Mikelski, Dr. Kathleen, from Seattle, Washington, in the USA.
And I'm partners with Sir Rufo de Leon and Sandra Mikelski. This is Sandra's husband, Carl, and the partnership involves finding books that are appropriate to send to the Philippines.
As Kathleen pointed out, I am Sandra's husband from the United States, and I am one of the helpers for helpers for in the United States to help to lift boxes of books and distribute boxes of books.
So people beyond the screen or behind the screen.
Yes. Behind the screen, yes.
So hi, I'm Rufo de Leon. I teach at Los Angeles University in the state of Mandaluyong. I am the project leader of this project called USPH Library Partners. And Anne and I are friends through the Fulbright scholarship program. That's why we are here.
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Sandra Mikelski. I teach 7th grade geography in the state of Rhode Island, which is on the East Coast. And this is my husband, Carl, as he said, and Kathleen is my sister. And I met Sir Rufo back in 2015 when I came over through TGC, which is a program through the U.S. State Department.
Yeah, I'm the local here from Baguio City. I'm a teacher at Baguio City National High School. I'm Ana Grace Cabanilla, and I was the bridge of all of these projects. So it actually started when my youngest child came to the public library. She got curious how a city library looks like, and then we came here and she saw the books in the children's section, and she said there are better books at home that are being sent by our benevolent sponsors. So we thought of sharing these blessings from the U.S. through the project advocated by, or being advocated by our Sir Rufo here. So we came, and that is how this all started. Now we're here to visit the library, and Mr. asked us to be guest here in their live talk.
Yeah, because we need to improve the public library. So it has been, the concept or the mindset of people here is that the public library is sleeping and it's just for books. So we need to, to change their mindset that the public library is not only about books, but there are also activities here and the other programs and services that they can avail. And we really appreciate, having received the collection or the donations that you have given to the city library, because when we opened, wow! It's really wow, because I guess most of it were displayed at the section. Actually, Katz is the one in charge.
Yes. Hi.
She's the one in charge of the section. And how did you came about, having this advocacy for public libraries in the Philippines?
Maybe start.
How did you came about?
Well, I had the honor to work with Sir Rufo de Leon down in Jose Rizal University in the summer of 2015. And because I was there for a small chunk of time, I was able to make connections. And Sir Rufo and I started doing projects together with our 7th graders. We did parallel projects, and then we did some swapping of projects. And I also made a connection with the librarian down at Jose Rizal University, and I think that's something that Kathleen and I both love, is that we have a deep appreciation and love for librarians.
Wow, thank you.
Yes, because we think that you do a lot of magic. You work a lot of magic, and you have that ability to introduce young people and old people to the love of reading. And it's not just teachers. I think librarians are very powerful people. And so through my connection with Sir Rufo and Miss Rose at Jose Rizal University, we started to work together in a partnership of how we can bring books to the Philippines. And we tried experimenting different ways. One was me trying to purchase books through the National Library, a national bookstore. Another way was that my husband and I and my two kids, we actually physically brought books in 8 pieces of luggage to the school, and that was effective but not sustainable. And then I discovered balikbayan boxes, which I think every single Filipino in the United States knows about, but I was late to the game, and I quickly discovered that. And I started slowly by sending one box, and it worked. And then after that, it was like a floodgate opened. And then, because it was so successful and it was so exciting, and it's fun just searching out and collecting books at my end, I said to my sister Kathleen, who's on the West Coast, I said, "Are you interested?" And she was a little bit hesitant at the beginning, and she did kind of the same thing I did, which was I will send 1 or 2 boxes and wait, see if they get there. And I think that's the magic of the Filipino culture, is that when we send boxes, they arrive.
Yes.
And that is not true every place on this planet. I've shipped boxes to South Africa, and 6 months later they came back. Right. So my boxes had a world tour, and saw many places that I'd like to see. But I think that is something that's so special about the Filipino culture, is that we send boxes and they arrive safely. And I think that's part of the excitement. And that's what's encouraging. It's like, it works.
Yes.
It works every time.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know what, ma'am, sir? The only compensation that we can give to you is we promise that we will use these books.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that Sir Rufo and Kathleen and I talked about, is like the first thing that needs to happen is there needs to be recognition on Miss Ann's part for doing the work, because it's not easy. You get boxes and it sounds simple, but then you have to deal with, what you're going to do with all of the books and how to physically handle all of the boxes. And it sounds simple, but as we know, it's a challenge. So, the first thing is we want recognition to the people on this side of the planet, because we know it's work. And then the second thing is we want those books to be in the hands of readers. It serves no purpose for us to go through the trouble, the headache, the challenge, if they get spirited away and hidden away. So we were excited. We visited a school outside of Manila that had received some books from Sir Rufo, and the books looked tired. They were being used.
Yes.
They were being used.
Yeah,
we want.
We love to see, the books.
Right.
Like this one. This was new before, but then we can already see that it's overused.
Right.
Yeah.
And we want those books to be tired and whipped and loved. Right?
And exhausted.
Right. We don't want to come and see books that have been sitting on a shelf and they're perfect, because that doesn't help anybody. And we like the idea that books are being shared and loved.
Yeah.
And so Kathleen works very hard at trying to meet specific needs, targeted needs. She's very good at hunting down, and I tend to do the volume. You know, it's I I collect, I get, and out the door they go. And we work differently, but I think we complement each other and we support each other. But it isn't just children's books. It's not just high school age books. We try to find a collection.
A wide array of selection.
Right,
Yes.
right.
And let's tell them how far you live from each other, because they live on extremes.
Yeah.
Carl, how far do you live from each other?
Well, we measure it in miles,
Oh.
so it's about 3,000 miles,
4,000
4,000 kilometers.
So even
5,000 kilometers.
Yeah, maybe 5,000 kilometers. Sandra and I, with our two children, we live on the East Coast in a small state, the smallest state of Rhode Island. And Doug and Kathy live on the West Coast, the state of Washington.
East and west.
East
East and West.
so
Pacific
it's
Ocean,
Opposite direction.
Yeah.
Atlantic Ocean, Pacific Ocean.
and it's not difficult. It's not easy to have them communicate whenever this person in the Philippines needs this and this person needs this. So they have to always contact each other to talk about what each specific person in the Philippines needs. So they also have a lot of sacrifices for this project.
Yes.
So we are very grateful really for their sacrifices. And it's not easy. I receive lots of boxes, hundreds of boxes already since we started from Dr. Kathleen, and big, huge boxes from Rhode Island. And it's not easy to carry. They contain hundreds and hundreds of boxes, ma'am. So I'm only at one end of this project, and they do all the hunting of the books, the sorting of the books, and they even ask us do you have any requests, special books that you would like us to hunt, and they sometimes purchase the books so they look new.
Yeah.
So it's actually not that easy for them to do these things, but they do this for the love of the Filipinos. Yes.
Bravo.
And that makes magic, right? That's what magic is all about. Right?
But it's also for the love of reading, for
Yes,
literacy.
yes.
And again, it goes back to this deep understanding of what librarians do, because it started with a teacher talking and a librarian talking, not an administrator, not somebody who isn't directly connected with kids and with books, and it is this love of literacy.
And Sandra, sometimes you get books through grants, or your
Right.
students do activities for donations and things of that nature too. You want to talk about that?
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
That's,
Sir Rufo and I have partnered on a number of grants.
Thank you for that.
Which again is, it's us trying to work together to meet the needs of our students, both in Rhode Island and the needs of our students in the Philippines.
How do those grants
So maybe
work?
you can tell us more, because actually I'm also interested, because we're working with the public. So it's not school to school, but we're working with the public, and actually here in Baguio City we should have the Barangay Reading Center.
Yes.
Which
That's what I have been talking about today.
Yeah, the Barangay
The
Reading
Advocacy of the
Center. Yes, that we should have a Barangay Reading Center in each of the barangay, but then after going through evaluation, because I'm the one evaluating already the reading centers here, there's a problem in the space, because we have 128 barangays. So that's much. But then I do have a suggestion. Maybe we can talk about this after the election because we're going to have a change of the officials again. There will be an election this October, and I guess it would be good to deal with the new officers of the new set of officials in the barangay. We need to have a reading center in each barangay. Yes. But, there are issues and challenges that in each barangay has. That's why I do understand, and one of which is budget, of course.
Right.
Yeah, because
So,
there are 128 barangays, and some are not, it depends on the allocation because of the number of people living in that barangay.
Are the barangay reading centers going to be affiliated with the central library here? Are they like partners?
Supposedly, maybe we can do that because for now there's no ordinance or not, because we have to, we have to.
And there are very
ordinance. Yes, we have to do it maybe through an ordinance to which maybe talking to whoever will be the representative from the barangay in the council. Because there will be new representative, and perhaps we can discuss about that so that we'll be able to develop each of the barangay reading center. And through those, I was thinking about, you're talking about grants and everything. Of course, here in the Philippines, we do have the NCCA, but then funding
culture,
culture and the arts, yes. But it's limited, so it may not be enough for all the barangays, and they will just choose two, I guess, from the Philippines. Yeah, so it's limited. Yes, it's limited. That's why I'm looking into possibilities also. And don't worry, because the donations that we have accepted, they're from the, that's from you, and they're at the fiction. We do have programs, the Book Lovers Club, the Book Lovers Club, wherein the adults, the young adults, they can sign up, and they are able to borrow 2 to 3 fiction books for a week. They just need to sign up. And we also go to schools. So first, we went to Irisan National High School because they're far from here. They are far. Very good. And then Happy Hallow National High School.
Yeah, the police officers this morning, so they also brought some of our boxes to Happy Hallow. It's also another far, very first school. It's very stiff when you get out of the school.
It's literally, you have to go down to the mountain.
Wow.
Yes. But then the scenery is beautiful. But anyway, I have, like what I've said a while ago, we go to schools and we promote the Book Lovers Club. We lend these books to the students because they don't have time to go here. They're dismissed also after 4, and they're very far. That's why we go there. We are the ones going there, and we can only do that during their lunch time, lunch break. So at least, we are trying to spread also the love of reading. We do also have the Book Lovers Club Parent and Child Edition at the children's section. It's the parents who will borrow, of course, not the kids or not the children, but the parents. And every Saturday, we do have storytelling at the park. So tomorrow, we'll be having there, just across the children's playground. That's at 10 a.m. in the morning. And we use the books, and we introduce to the children the books, and also the parents, the guardians. We tell them, you go to the city library. So I guess we have to spread. No, we have to help in the literacy campaign. So through the services and programs also of the Baguio City Public Library.
Yeah, that's right. And you see, we bring the library to the people. Yeah. If we cannot bring the people here, we bring the library to the people, and one of that is the storytelling every Saturday. If you could just only stay for another so you can witness how the storytelling goes. Oh, it's awesome. We have children there, and you can see how Filipino children are being trained and brought up early on in their early stage of life. So when they grow up, we could see them as good readers. So we start there in the park every Saturday.
It's very sweet.
Yeah.
Well, I think some of my co-teachers go there.
We are in
They
partner
partner
we are in partner with the teachers of
So-
Baguio City
Who reads the stories?
We have volunteers like
Yes.
high school students, right? Who come here and they work with us as student immersions, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then we invite them in the park and they will do the job for
They
us.
do the ugly.
Yeah.
Actually, when we started, it's only us, the staff.
Mhm.
And then we have it live through our Facebook page, and then eventually, wow, we have partners.
Yes.
People are coming here and they would like also to perform the storytelling that we are doing. That's why, okay, do we have volunteers for this Saturday? Yes, we have. And we have, Mami Ellie,
That's
Lolo
right.
Book.
Yeah.
We have Lolo Book, always go there and, tell stories to the children.
It's catchy. It's a catchy personality because Lolo is a grandfather.
Right.
Yes.
So we call him Lolo Books, and children would really love to have him every Saturday. And that's one of the magics that the Baguio City Public Library would do to the public.
Yeah, we're always, we have to change like what I've said, we have to change the mindset of the people. It's not only that we are here at the public library and waiting for the people to come, but we have to go out and, be with the community also, engage with the community.
And it's live stream, so everybody could watch at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
But that's every Saturday.
Yeah,
that's
every
every
Saturday. Yeah, 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock.
So aside from that, we do also have contests. Just like for this last month, we have the Pride Month. So we have also contests. So it's a spoken poetry. Spoken poetry, and tomorrow maybe we can have the actual. And we'll just post the pieces, the poetry that they have written. Will be posted on our Facebook page. And then for next month, August, it will be, I guess, it's youth. Yeah, Lingya also, and youth, about youth. That's why we do also have. But when we have this contest, there should be a connection with the use of the library. Yes.
One contest in our school is book talk showdown. There's
Wow.
an elementary school division book talk showdown. There's a junior high. There's a senior high. The college and the faculty.
Wow.
And the employees.
Maybe we can adapt that. How nice.
We had it done live during the pre-pandemic,
Okay.
and now it's getting back because we are slowly going back to school. But it didn't stop during the pandemic. We have an online version of that.
Wow.
So that's when I started also connecting with our group in Fulbright's class. Like, do you want to connect with us? So we have a school from Ilocos, in Mindanao, and Manila, and other places to get all into the Zoom and watch the book talk presenters from the different schools.
Wow.
So, sir, how did they respond to that? Was it active?
Very
Was it-
active because I think it's a plus point for their school if there is a collaboration. Yeah.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
mandatory.
Yeah, but
It's a plus point.
yeah, that's right. But beside the mandatory, they would love it. Like
Yes.
even without the credentials or anything like that, they would love it.
How about the children?
Yeah.
Yes, the
How did the
children.
children react?
They really like it. Most of the time, especially in our school, they would volunteer.
Wow.
Can I be the next book talk showdown?
Actually, there's a lot of people who loves, books.
Yes.
But there are also people who would say that we already have the
Technology.
technology.
Yeah, technology.
Why will I go to the library? Why will I need when we have this, we can access this online.
Actually,
Okay.
some of the children do not read because they don't have any access to books. Because one time I asked some parents if their kids are reading because I want to share the books from our donors because they're very good. So I asked them, is your child reading? And then someone said, no, kanay nagsalsalpon lang ta. So they're always on the cell phone. So that's what they're doing. So I said, maybe they're not reading because they don't have books at home. So when I gave the book, they realized that their child actually wants to read books. So the only reason why they're not reading is that they don't have any book at home. They were not exposed to these resources. So that's your program on reaching out to these kids, bringing the library to the people is actually a very effective way of promoting reading to these young kids.
But however, we would like to partner also with the school, no, with the school, and especially to the teachers, because I guess it would be more effective if that will be a requirement of the school. Because I talked to the teacher and said, you have to require the student to make a book review or a book report.
To read a certain number of books in a school year.
Yes, that's what I told them, so that we'll have more, more children or more students reading and borrowing from us.
That's right. I think there's a big initiative in the United States. I think it's 1,000 books before kindergarten.
Wow.
So this
1,000
idea
books?
that parents are supposed to be reading to their children,
okay.
and it's I think an initiative through the libraries. I know it's an initiative through the libraries, but it's 1,000 books before kindergarten. And this idea that you're supposed to be reading to your child 1-2 books a day in preparation for school. And I thought that was again a really a librarian, right? A librarian who's creating a need, but also advocating for literacy. So that's just an interesting. Keep that. Maybe that will spark something. But I'm going to double back and talk about our partnerships, because it is about partnerships. And Sarufo and I started with some grants, and those grants. I think initially came through the U.S. State Department, but then I've since looked and found grants through businesses within the United States, and I think that's a partnership to investigate, is putting yourself out there and finding a business that is financially doing well and can also recognize the work that you're doing. I will say that writing grants is both time consuming. It can be really discouraging because I would say that most of the grants that I write, I don't get. So it's like a roller coaster. Like, I think I was sharing with my sister earlier this summer, I'm like, oh, I got a grant. Oh, I just got an email for a different grant that I didn't get. So it's a little bit of this, and oh, yesterday I got another grant, but it takes a lot of time and energy. It can take a little bit of campaigning, but finding that partnership, that business partnership that sees the value, and maybe it's building those reading hubs one at a time. I mean, I can envision that you have something where you're reflecting on, each baranga that you bring in and build. That reading hub could be something that the whole community sees value in. But it's a mix of successes and failures, and I think I think it's being like a risk taker, right? And going out and making those connections and building those bridges. And talking to those people, because sometimes it's just talking to 1 or 2 of the right people, and all of a sudden it works.
Sandra, when you get those grants, is that usually when we're able to procure the newer books?
Yes. Yeah.
So if the new books are coming in the boxes, generally those are from grants.
Yeah.
The other books are generally that Sandra finds through donations
And connections.
and connections. She spends a lot of time and effort doing that.
Well, we hope that our televiewers, our viewers today would realize this one thing, because we have this kind of survey, like the Filipinos now are getting detached from the traditional way of learning, like books no more, because we already have it here. Our life is here already. Yeah, but then. For me personally, in my opinion, we cannot detach the traditional method of learning from what we have now. Because what if the internet will go crazy, and so we will still go back to the book. So how would you encourage our Filipino friends so that they can get in touch with our on paper?
Well, I think during the pandemic, it was one big experiment, right? Because people were either shut down at home. In my case, our students were relying solely on doing stuff on the computer. And I would generally say that most teachers and most administrators would argue that it was an epic fail. Like, our test scores went way down. That 2-3 years did not show that being on a device is the same as interacting with people, physically writing, physically reading. I think it was an experiment on a global scale, and I know from a state perspective and a national perspective in the United States, it was an epic fail. Our test scores are, and so now we are revisiting, going back to making certain that students are having that human contact, that they are doing more writing, that they are doing more reading, because we know that it didn't work. That a device is something that is a tool, but it is not a replacement. And a device is not a curriculum, it is a tool. And I use that approach in my own classroom, and I know across the United States, we get it now. Not everybody, but I think most everybody gets it, that books are important, that they need to be touching them, that love needs to start at a really young age. You need to get those little people attached to those books, and adults. They see titles, they know authors, and they need to have access to the latest and greatest.
Well, I'm in battle with, here at the public library. They would ask me, are there people entering the public library? Wow, sabi ko, wow, what a question. Is that a question or a statement?
Do you keep count of every person that walks through the door? That's good.
Actually, the highest that we have here is 350. Of course, just one day. Yes, that's the
Because
highest.
that data becomes a tool, right?
Yes. The technology, I said, we embrace technology. We embrace, why not? Because we use this to enhance the services that we have here at the library. But then, I still believe that, one of our professors will always tell us, there can never be a paperless society. I don't know if you will agree. I really believe that there can never be a paperless society.
And we sort of tried that on a global scale. And I get it. We've kind of had to. But it's not a solution. It's not a replacement.
Yes.
So again, finding those partnerships in the community that will support your initiatives financially, finding those grants. I used to spend 1 to 2 hours a week on the internet looking for grants, just searching. And like I said, a lot of times there were no's.
It's one of our books.
It arrived. your boxes arrive.
I asked them to get them from my house.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so that we can have, while you are here, because we really appreciate, because when we open boxes and we see these are quality books, rather than, what we have for
Yeah, and
No, but you do. Your library is very beautiful. We walk around and it's so welcoming, and you have a lot of resources.
Yeah.
But we also know that, and you can speak to this, that a library needs to be alive.
Yes.
And just because you have a book, it doesn't stay on your shelf forever.
Yes.
And there needs to be a constant movement and updating. And I think sometimes people don't understand, or they forget that, well, this book that you got 40 years ago, why isn't it still good?
Yeah.
And
That's one thing that I want them to understand. We need to upgrade our collection.
And it needs to always be changing.
Yes.
And if a book is collecting dust, then that needs to go, because people aren't using it, and people are tired of it, or maybe sometimes it's as simple as a newer edition has a different cover.
Yeah.
And now that new cover is more applicable and more of interest, to the people of today versus a cover from 40 years ago. It can be the same book, but a new cover can sell it.
But we promise you guys that your books will get tired in 1 month. Yeah, that's our promise.
I wanted to share that there was a time when Rose, our librarian in our school, sought the assistance of English teachers so that the books in the library would be used. So I had this program called Literary Selection Day. That's every Friday when we do not teach our lesson, but all the kids have to pick one book in the library. So imagine like 45 students and 45 books, and I have 4 classes, and all the teachers are doing that in school. It's a synchrony. It's every Friday. So in 1 month, like, there was a huge number in the increase of library usage. We may not force the students to finish the book. They could just read one chapter. But we have a guiding question like, what is one part of the material that you read that you find interesting? Then they would have a paperwork to do that, and they will submit. So that's the activity for the day. And Rose liked it because it increased their library usage. Now, they may not finish reading the book, but somehow it would encourage them to continue or get back after class if they find it interesting, and then pull the book from the library.
Because of that question, what part of the book, what did it say in the last part? So we had to the last part of the book, but at least they read.
But one chapter is good
They
enough.
even vocabulary, like write 5 new words
new
that you
words
learn.
that you learn from the.
That's one question I did.
And it will motivate them to read the whole book.
That's the point that I was telling. That's why we have this book lovers in the school, and that's what I want the teachers to do also. Yes,
Now,
so
I
we
know-
can encourage the students to.
Most of the schools, and Kathleen, as a parent, I'm sure lived this, and as I did as a parent, the schools had required reading over the summer. And so the teachers would come up with a list, and they often communicated with the libraries to make certain that you had the books on the list, and the kids would have to choose 2 books to read over summer vacation. So that, because we know that there's a loss of learning that happens every summer when the kids are out of school, right? And that's documented, it's recognized, and one way to combat that is that they are required to do summer reading. And often it's from a selected list so that they're age appropriate. The other thing is our libraries will do fun things like they'll do the dating game, right? So it's a big to do. The library's decked out in red and hearts, and the kids are told that they're coming in and they're going to meet their new next love of their life. And they do like speed dating. Have you heard of that? I'll have to send something, but so the kids are put around tables, and there's like a stack, and it's undercover, and the librarian walks around and says, okay, speed dating, and there's maybe 5 children at a table with 5 books, and they have just a few minutes to look at the books, and they jot down a few notes, and then they come back and covered, and then they go to the next table. And they look quickly at all the books at the table and make a few notes, and it gets covered. And then they go to the next. So it's speed dating. It's quick. And then at the end they have to choose their next new love. And they choose one of the books that they just experienced in their speed dating opportunity. And that's done, of course, near Valentine's Day, right? But all those silly activities generate excitement. My librarian does. My librarian will do poetry.
Oh yes, the title.
Yes, where the kids create. They create poetry and they have to walk around the library, and they're pulling books and create a stack of books. And when you read the titles.
Yes,
it becomes a poem. Banned books is a very hot topic right now in the United States because there are communities that are trying to ban certain titles.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, and sometimes, I think we're level-headed people, and we're like, I don't understand what is wrong with this book, and usually, personally, I think nothing is. But there's a whole campaign by librarians to say, hey, if it's a banned book, then you need to read it.
Yes.
You need to be the judge of whether or not this book, you need to be that critical thinker. And so I've seen in libraries where they cover books, banned books with brown paper and create a display with just the title. Again, just generating that conversation, and people are welcome to check that book out or to look at that book.
It's intriguing.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that's done are blind dates.
Okay.
Where the librarians will select a whole variety of books, age appropriate, depending if you're doing this for elementary school kids or young adults. And again, they cover the books in brown paper, right? You don't know what the title is, and the kids have to go and select a blind date. One of the books that have been covered, and that's your book that you're going to read for that day or that week. Just, again, those exciting activities that librarians do.
A lot of romantic themes.
You're in love.
Yes, I love the books. Yeah. Oh, and my husband. I have to say that too.
Yeah.
And the Philippines.
Yeah.
Who comes first, your husband?
Oh, no. Don't get me in trouble. Of course him. Because I need his muscle. But again, it's everything I'm sharing.
And by the way, this is being recorded.
Yes.
Witnesses.
You can play that again.
Yeah.
Just go to our page, Baguio City Public Library.
Yeah.
So that makes you happy, right?
Yes. She gave the right answer.
Oh, yeah. I can get that.
But again, all of these are ideas that librarians do.
Actually, that's why I would like to, to go to, but then I cannot. But I will just, scroll also in the page of each of the public libraries abroad because they post their activities. And this is good to adapt. This is good to adapt. I need to benchmark also, and one of my dreams is to go abroad and benchmark because people here in Baguio City, those who went there to live and then they came back for a vacation, would always visit the library and tell me stories about, the public library in the United States is like this and like that, and they have really a lot of collection. They have a lot of activities and they participated. Yeah, they tell me, and I said, you know what? It will always depend who is sitting and
Yeah.
But also, it's making those connections because I can share an idea and you can think about it.
Yeah.
But then you can come back to me and say, "Oh, Sandra, I have another question," or "How did that work?" Or maybe Sandra, you did that in a school library. How might that work in a public library? You know, I think this theme of building bridges and making networks and that idea of like encouragement, that writing grants. My record is not even 50% success rate, which means I get a lot of I'm told that I failed many times, but I think that idea of taking healthy risks, right? And being in a community where people encourage you is so important.
I also would like to share that we are in one with you with the advocacy of spreading literacy, because our project is to spread all over the country, from Luzon to Mindanao. And I'm very glad to share that each of the coordinators in these places have their own projects of making literacy work. Like they have projects.
Tell them some of our fellows were even able to build their own libraries
they
in
own
their
libraries out of a vacant lot. Then here is a library now.
A physical space.
Physical space.
And also, all because of the book donations from our donors. Because if you will just rely on with the budget that the Department of Education is giving us, so books are not actually the priority. Students will just rely on the textbooks. And then some books are like in the public library, they are not always updated. So that's why most children in the school would rely on their cell phone to search for information because they don't find any updated materials in our library. So how many are we in our?
There are 15 of us all over the country, but instance for me, I have already donated books to like almost 100 library schools, and then maybe like many schools, and we just multiply like 15 times a lot of we have already served almost maybe 500 schools and 8 including partnerships with the Philippine National Police, the Armed Forces, the Rehab Center, DSWD.
Maybe you could also be partner with
Public
you.
libraries.
Because it's a public library and we
Absolutely.
really need to help also our barangay living centers. So
We have that in Ilocos Norte through Sir Chan. He was in partnership with barangay. So he had a project called 24/7 because it's open 24 hours and 7 days a week. So it's in the barangay. So there's a space in the barangay where the books were placed. So any time of the day, people can go there and read.
Ma'am, sir, I know we are pressed for time, but this is just very quick. Let's share with them about the OPA, online public access catalog. So we digitize books because we have problems about the volume. We lack copies, so we are doing that. So how far can we go? Can we digitize? Can we digitize the
actually, we started only with our local history, the collection, because some of the books at that section is rare. So it's not already print. That's right. And that's the first thing that we have to concentrate, the local history first, and then the thesis and dissertation, because these are unpublished. And then, we cannot just throw away the thesis and dissertation, so they need to be digitized. Aside from that, then we don't have, because I do understand, the laws.
That's
legal
right.
copyright.
The copyright issues, copyright
Yes.
infringement, things like that.
Yes, we cannot.
Right.
We have to buy also. If there's a need for us to buy, then we have to buy also, because if we will do that, we will be digitized and then we'll have it published. So we
It's
can
against
be,
the
it's not working.
Yeah, because that's one of the problems, like what Ma'am was saying, like we have 45 students. That's the setting, Philippine setting of the classroom. We have 45 to 50 students. So there is a problem in the Department of Education that they cannot provide all the copies, the volume issue of that thing for that matter. So, yeah.
I guess it's still better if we will have, we will buy, just like the online books. We do also, but then there are a few online books that we buy because it's expensive also. Yeah. We can have them share because it's already paid. So that's one thing that everybody can access because it's paid. But for us to, to digitize a printed book without any permission, that's unfair. We only do that. That's why we have started with the local history. For me, if it's really there's a need and that's the only book that we have, but then that's only for research purposes. We can have it, but it's only here at the library, and we have to limit who can access. So that's one thing that we librarians would have to understand. And we're talking about the banned books.
Right.
We don't have the right to, what branches of the tree that we need to cut off. Yeah, right?
Right.
So that's the idea. So for us, the librarian, we have to present in all areas. We do not ban books here. We have to present. But then that's what I'm telling them, that we have to choose also, not really choose, we have to evaluate also who uses the books. We do have, let's say, the marijuana book. It's the marijuana is, but then we do have the medical marijuana. We have the book here, and I bought one really. And then I said, well, they questioned me, why did I choose that title? And I said, yes, we have, because we do have researchers here. We do have, they need that book. They need to research on that book. It's not, to make them addictive to it, but then it's for medical purposes. These are students researching on that because that has been an issue. That's why we need to have this book. We do not just lend it, we also ask our users.
So I don't think we can answer the digitization question because that's more of a legal question.
Yes.
And that's not our expertise. We have a doctor, we have a medical doctor, and we have 2 engineers, but we do not have a lawyer here.
But we understand it's a global law. Like, if the law applies here, it will also apply in your country.
And I think this is true across the globe, is that often governments have expectations, and many times those expectations are great and wonderful, but they don't back it with funding. And I think that's where we all get into trouble, right? And I mean, this is true in the United States. It's like initiatives will come down.
In your country.
Oh, yeah.
I think
You touched the spark plug.
but I think it's true everywhere where there's policy and initiatives, and those policies and initiatives are good. But unfortunately, it often comes without the financial backing. And what happens, I think, is that it puts a lot of pressure on librarians, it puts a lot of pressure on educators to meet those policy demands and those initiative demands in a very creative, but usually stressful way. And sometimes we come up short. Right. Like we know what we need to do, but we're not given the resources to do it. And that's where, like, I relied very heavily on my colleagues in different states and in different countries to help me with ideas and lesson plans. Because I may not be given the books that would work best to teach a particular concept. But I don't think it's a Filipino problem. It's not a problem in a United States problem. I think it's a global problem. And so the fact that with Kathleen and I and our support system can make it a little bit easier for you all to achieve your goals. There's going to be some way or some time that you are going to help us. You know, I know it's a partnership. It's not us. It's not the United States doing everything for you. That's not the way it's happening. Because the things that Sir Rufo and I have been working on together help my students. You know, because I'm working with Sir Rufo, I have a group of students every year that walk away knowing something about the Philippines, have interest, not afraid, right? Even though it's on the other side of the planet, not afraid. And maybe, just maybe someday, multiple students of mine will come and visit the Philippines. Or meet somebody of Filipino descent in the United States and can have a genuine, authentic conversation and not come across as ignorant on the richness of your country, right? So it's a partnership. And we're so thrilled to be a part of it.
And we look forward to the realization of that. Who knows, right? It could happen.
Yeah, I like the way, you know, we are not really that supportive. But then we have that. Yes, we find ways. We find ways.
Filipinos are innovative people. They are very smart.
Well, I think that's true about educators and librarians. I mean, we have no choice, right? I mean, we're kind of left to figure it out.
Yes.
And we don't always meet with, you know, our goals, but we try. And, I think we're just so excited that we can help you. And be one
innovative, creative, persistent, and resilient. I would say.
Those words. It defines the Filipino people. I would believe so. And you know, it's a small word. Thank you that we are grateful that you are here. From there and from there and from the experience. We are gathered together in this one room today. It's our pleasure having you.
Actually, they will still have to go to different parts.
Marinduque, you told me that you are going to Marinduque.
Visiting the other fellows. They're helping other partners.
Okay.
So they started, they arrived last Friday in Manila, then they came to Baguio right away. So they started here in the north, going down to the south. So that's Miss Sandra here is teaching about geography. She will be sharing a lot after her visit
I
again.
still need my map.
And you will find out that you are in the archipelagic island, which is the Philippines, which has 7,100.
So we should talk about technology in libraries and librarians, and why do we need a library? Why do we need books? Why do we need librarians? So if I go to work, I work on a computer all day. When I come home, if I want to find one piece of information, I'll get out my computer. What is the population of Baguio City? Okay, so that's a good question for the computer. What's an interesting book about Baguio City? Then you go to the library and you go, look at this. Oh, look what's right next to it. I find the book I want, but on that same shelf there are 6 other books. This one's more interesting. So I want this one. How did I find that? The librarian put it there. You decide what goes on the shelves, what things go together, how to guide the readers to find interesting information. And it's information that I don't even know to look for. If I go on the computer, I only find the things I'm looking for. If I open a book, I'll learn things I didn't know I was looking for. Right? I'll learn something new.
I work on computer screens all day long at work, and I want to come home. And when I want to relax at night before bed, I open a book. that's the way I end up relaxing and finishing my day.
The funny thing is, I have to share this. Just they send boxes and boxes of books to the Philippines, but when we went to Bencab yesterday, Dr. Kathleen saw books about the Philippines, about arts and culture, and she bought books because she is interested, and she said, if I'm going to finish this, I will still ship this back to the Philippines. I told her, I don't know about those things, and she said, now I know who's going to receive this book. And Miss Sandra, Miss Sandy also bought Filipino books, reading books, which she's going to share also to her students when she gets back to her station.
And I was also excited, in the same little shop, there were books about the Philippines or children's books, and I already own them.
So they're not going back to the Philippines.
Yeah.
They're already in the United States.
Oh,
They're going to
wow.
stay there because those are the books that these Filipino children's books that I share with my 7th graders. And so I have my own collection for my own students.
Thank you for bringing the Philippines to your
That's how they love the Philippines.
Yeah. But you know what? The culture of reading is not really that widespread here in the Philippines. I mean, that's a fact.
Sure.
Unlike in your country. Because, you know, we see people reading while at the train station, at the train. Yeah. You see Filipinos, what they're doing. Are they reading? No. Not
Sadly.
No. Or
But you're
talking to each other.
you're working on changing that.
Yes, yes. That's why.
Slowly.
That's what we need to do. You know, to spread the culture of reading. Not only to the children, but also adults. Yeah. But you know what? We're grateful. We have senior citizens coming here at the library. They read newspapers.
Yeah, on a everyday, daily basis.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they also make use of the computer.
Yeah.
We appreciate
So,
that.
Yeah, so we can always
It's a balance.
reconcile the technology to the old traditional method of learning. And that's fine.
Yes, there's nothing bad about technology. It just
Yeah,
needs to
yes.
be a balance between
Yes,
books and
Or
technology.
recognized as a tool.
Tools.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. To enhance.
Right.
And you have to accept that we cannot live without this anymore.
Yep.
It's a devastating life without this.
So necessity.
I lost mine once and I went into a panic.
See? When we lost our phone, where's my phone?
That's right.
Very uncomfortable.
Yes.
And you know what? You are nice people. It's already one. But you are nice people.
Yeah.
If you didn't notice.
Yeah,
It went fast.
We really appreciate that we met advocates for literacy, and we are. I'm so glad that can I be part of that. No?
And it started, this bridge started with your daughter.
Yes.
Right.
My daughter.
So,
Because we came here. She got curious about how the public library looks like.
Yes, yes.
And sometimes it's just those little sparks, you just don't know.
Yeah. And it's magical because you know you're here.
Now they're here.
Yeah, it's magical.
Yeah. I guess the public library needs partners.
Yes.
And, have to enter into a lot of partners.
They have awesome people here, new people with us.
I am in partner with the project of the Rotary Club. And,
I was gonna say, I bet there are people in Baguio City.
Actually, the one with 1,000 books people. Actually, it's not really that the concept. Maybe it's really there, but what I did is I do the lecture to the parents of this daycare windows because the target of this project by the Rotary is the child development centers, or we call the not school, daycare.
Yeah.
Daycare, yes.
Daycare.
These are ages 4 to 5.
4 to 5.
4 to 5. That's why for me I target the parents. So I give it lecture, and then I said that you need to come to the library we did have a program actually, but then it failed because nobody came to borrow books, and then that's where I started that who borrowed and what book, have to count them, and then eventually we have to ask the parents and the child also. But then nobody's coming here, so I said the culture of reading is not really that.
But you have to try again, or maybe you have to tweak or change a little.
Yes, I guess.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah.
A lot of failure.
A lot of failures. Yeah.
But we'll still try right now. Anyway, I'm still in partner with them, and I'm still part of their team.
Well, and if you can reach out to the daycare and work with the barangay, that is how you will probably reach the young children and the families. Because it's hard to come to the library with a young child.
That's why I would like to start fresh with the new elected. Because we already gave trainings to the present. And we already told them that you need to develop your readings.
And 300 people is not bad.
Oh, no.
Coming here every day.
That's
It's
great.
not bad.
Yeah.
And we will increase that eventually. Like 500. Can we do that?
But the seating's not enough, and the space is not enough.
Yeah, that's another
Yes.
thing. Actually, it's not.
But that's a good problem.
Yes.
If you have too many people, then you need a bigger building. But that's a good problem.
I like
right?
that. It's a
Yeah.
good problem.
That's a good problem. That's right. So I guess we need to end this session for this Friday, and we do hope that our viewers were able to pick up something else. You come and visit your public library, because this is your library. It's not only for us, but it's for the public, and we are open, just like in our tagline, sa BCPL, lahat kasali. That means everybody's welcome here. So even from the other places, provinces, they come here to research, we welcome them. So it's not only for Baguio City, but it's for everyone. That's our tagline. Yeah. So with that, we would like to say thank you very much for coming here. And really, we appreciate your efforts, and do not be worried, because your efforts will
Pay off.
yes, it will be into something else.
You mostly get tired with
Yes.
property.
Maybe we can also get your contact details, so that we can send some of the pictures that we can have, especially when we're going to schools for the book lovers. I mean, book mobile drive, so that we can share with you, and you can also be more proud that
We did
we did our part, and we're doing great. The public library is doing great in helping the literacy program. And of course we have our monthly.
Yes, I will be in contact.
Yes. So with that, visit your public library. This is we are most welcome. We are open Monday to Saturday at 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Although we cannot extend yet the time, because it's supposed to be until 10 p.m. But we lack staff, limited staff.
You work until Saturday.
Yeah, I work until Saturday, and that's pro bono. Saturday is pro bono. I am not paid.
Yes, you only work until Friday, 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
She works until Saturday.
Yeah, I work until Saturday. We lack staff. That's why. That's why you need to, utilize your public library. Yeah, there's a lot of programs and services that you can get here, but then your learning will never stop. I'm telling you, because this is a lifelong learning, and after graduating from the schools, so where will you go? To the public library. You can still continue learning from here. And Thank you very much. I hope that this will not be the last time that you will visit Baguio City, but you will always be welcome to come here. And also nice meeting you also, Sir Rizal. Rizal University, yeah.
Sir Rufo.
I saw the picture of that Jose Rizal.
Yeah. That's the genealogy. Actually, we're making a space here for history, family search. So it's a genealogical, yes. That's why we have that. That's a teaser, actually. Yeah, for that program. Yeah.
I remember you sent me a book, My Family Tree. It's still there. I think I'm going to bring it.
Yeah, yes, we can have that.
Genealogy book.
Resource
Yes,
material.
that can be a resource for that section. We really have that section because a corner, I mean, it's not a section. We start with a corner and we'll see the road up.
They are very, very nice people.
Hey,
Can be nicer.
Very, very
I
nice.
heard it. Been much nicer than usual.
So I guess I know that we can do the talking actually while the whole day. Why not? Because it's interesting.
There's a lot to talk about.
Yes, right. But I understand that you have to go through the different places
Yes.
also and meet a lot of people too. But we do hope that you enjoy your stay here in Baguio City. Yeah.
And safe travels wherever you go.
Thank you.
The following
Okay,
days.
yeah. So with that, we have actually the books that they brought here, right? So maybe, are they ready?
Okay, let me check.
Yeah.
We do it live also.
Yes.
It's still live?
Why not? It's still live. Why not? Well, we just have to show them that, well, here are the books.
Okay.
We saw the boxes go
I saw
by.
boxes.
Yes.
So
That's why we
these
need
are
to-
not the first boxes that I have here.
Yeah.
Shall I pull the boxes here?
Okay.
They are very
Why not?
heavy.
Or you, or you can take the camera out there.
Yes.
No, it can be here. Here, yes.
Samples on.
Put it on
No,
the
no.
table.
Yung books. Yung books na rin yung
It is.
they can
It's all right.
just, yung sample lang. Hindi, yung sample. Samples lang,
Do
samples.
you need help lifting it? I'm an expert.
That's our senior here.
Oh,
That's
okay.
Manong Eric. In 3 years, he will be retired. 65.
We have a whole bunch. We have a lot of boxes there. Thank you for these books.
Oh, by the way, we have books here about the library. For those who are taking their studies, they can come here and access. Okay?
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So, we just want to show you the samples of
Patterson books.
right? James Patterson. That's why we really love receiving donations. That's right. Yes, because
They are new.
they are new and they're very nice.
And this is the favorite of Sir, right?
Yeah.
James Patterson. Oh,
Nice.
yeah.
I've read a lot of the Patterson books.
Yeah, oh.
And we have another here.
Patterson.
Thank you.
And it's hardbound. And you know what? The paper is really of
Of quality.
Yeah. It's really of quality. That's why we really love receiving these books. That's such a sad story. Oh,
And they will get tired in 1 month, right?
okay. So, but brother,
Really,
although we can see here at times it's discarded because we understand the turnover of books in your country is that fast. Unlike here.
yes.
They stay forever.
Yeah, stay forever. If there's no budget, it will stay there forever. That's really a problem.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's still new and it's the pages. You see, here in the Philippines, we mostly have the paper.
Very skinny
Newspaper.
paper.
Very
Not
thin.
good quality.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why we really appreciate. And of course, box po ito. Nasa box, as in
Yes,
literal na
namin
box.
mabuhat.
Yes.
Kasi mabigat. Yeah,
It's
they're all
really
there.
heavy.
There.
Yeah, but
And
then,
maybe we can just take pictures.
yes, later on. So just to show them that, these books.
Pull that one up.
Yeah,
Very good book.
good book that they made into a movie.
Oh,
And I have two James Pattersons here.
this turns
Our series.
into a movie?
This is a good book made into a movie.
Oh, noted.
Noted, because in our shelves we have the book fleet.
Okay.
Yes.
There you go. That's a book flip.
Yes.
So yes,
Yes,
Yeah.
book
yeah,
flips.
yeah, book fleet.
She made that book flip.
That's fun.
Good idea.
Yeah, I
The
know.
books are made into movies.
Yes.
Wow.
Okay. Okay, so later on we'll take pictures with the box. But for now, we'd like to say thank you for having us. Thank you for watching. And for those who will watch, you can always learn from what we have talked about. That's one thing for sure. Okay, so
Before we end,
yeah.
let me just have a say. Because I'm in charge of the books that you
Thank
donate.
you.
And thank you very much. And to our viewers, you have to come here, you have to use all of those donations because they went through a lot of effort.
Yes, yes.
And of course,
She started.
the person who started can you just say hi? You can stay in the center.
Hello.
This is my daughter. I'm very proud.
Oh, wow.
So,
Invite them, anak, to come and visit the library.
Yes, come on.
come on, don't be shy.
Tell them to read. Come. Tell them to read.
Please come to the Baguio Public Library and read.
Very good.
Okay, so with that, bye. See you again.
Say
next
bye.
time. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.